So whether you're a new viewer or a longtime subscriber to the channel, you probably know that I like to collect old vintage things, retro computers, vintage video game consoles, and their accompanying games and peripherals. So it should come as no surprise that I also enjoy collecting physical media of films and movies, including HD DVD, CED Select-O-Vision, 8mm, Laserdisc, Blu-ray, and of course, the classic VHS. Unfortunately, collecting physical media oftentimes comes with a few problems. A penchant for friends and family contacting you if you want this. Hey, do you want these VHS tapes? Do you want these DVDs? Do you want these old things that we're probably going to pitch and toss? And well, the thing is, collecting physical media such as old films on old formats, especially such as Laserdisc and VHS and Betamax, a lot of times films were never re-released on modern formats such as streaming, Blu-ray, or DVD. A lot of times they were stuck on their original format, and oftentimes this meant that the only way you can watch some of these films is on VHS or DVD or early DVDs. Or if they did make it to later media such as Blu-ray re-releases, 4K Blu-ray re-releases, streaming services, a lot of times people go in and alter these movies. They'll change the color schemes, they'll change things in the background, they'll add special effects, they'll even cut things and redub things just to make them less harmful or insultive to anybody who might want to watch it, which means a lot of times the only way to watch films as the way they were intended to be watched with the correct coloring and the correct look is physical media that can't be altered because it's, well, permanently on there. And because of this, there's a penchant for people like me to get phone calls or texts from friends and family. Hey, do you want this box? Do you want this container of whatever format? And unfortunately, a lot of us will just say, yeah, sure, especially if we don't have those films. We'll absolutely take them off your hands, which can cause a big issue if they understate how much they have to bequeath to you. Like a giant box of VHS tapes. Oh, Lord. So a little bit of a pretext with this. Years and years ago, when my grandmother passed away, my grandpa put all the VHS tapes in a tape cabinet and shoved it off into a corner and we all kind of forgot about it because we were focused on other things. When my grandfather passed away and my dad moved out there to take over the property and start remodeling the house, I inherited all those VHS tapes, most of which were recorded off the television, including all those commercials that are intact, which would be awesome to save, by the way. When he got out of his house fully to move into the now remodeled house, I inherited all the tapes he had. And I never bothered to count them. I just put them in boxes and put them down in the basement. I was going to sort them later. And my plan was to build some small shelving to store the few VHS tapes we had, the DVDs, the Blu-ray that we've gotten later, etc. Well, a few years ago, my wife's grandmother downsized her house. And as a result, they're constantly purging stuff that's in storage. And one of them was VHS tapes. And she called me and said, hey, you like collecting old movies and such. Would you like a few small boxes of VHS tapes? And me being the physical media nut that I am, absolutely. I would love to collect some movies because I knew what some of the films she had. I remember seeing a small shelf that had movies that I either didn't have or films that I knew I enjoyed and I loved watching on VHS back in the day, and I no longer had the tapes of those because they got worn out or broken or whatever, and they weren't in the stuff I got from my side, so absolutely. Flash forward a few months later, when my brother-in-law's up there helping her move something, and she decides to tell him, hey, just take all these VHS tapes to me. He called me on the way to my house and said, hey, did she tell you a few small boxes? I said, yeah. She said, like, maybe a couple shoeboxes worth. Why? We proceeded to unload when he got my driveway about 3.5 boxes this size of VHS tapes. There was, I kid you not, I stopped counting at about 320 VHS cassettes. Not individual movies, because I'm counting Titanic as 2 cassettes, Saving Private Ryan as 2 cassettes, 320, and I stopped there of films. In fact, I want to show you what I've done with at least most of them so far. So this is the metal shelf that I started putting some VHS movies on, and yeah, you can see there's not so bad. That's not so bad. Except the fact that they're doubled up on every row. Yeah. Now, that's not even all of the tapes either. This box has about 75 tapes left in it, and I still have about 100 to 200 from my side I got to go through. Because like I said, a lot of them are recorded off TV and stuff that, well, I don't need a recorded copy of, say, Jurassic Park if I already have a copy of Jurassic Park here. A lot of them are home movies, so I got to sort through them. But even if I sort through about half of them, that's still 100 plus VHS tapes. And so there's probably about 400 to 500 VHS tapes for me to store away on some shelving that I need to build here in the future. That metal shelf was, at least one row was full of VHS tapes that I have collected from Goodwill runs, movies that I know that I'll enjoy and watch. So you can kind of imagine that I didn't plan on building a shelf that big. In fact, I've kind of done the math on it. Even at 400 tapes, each of these is an inch thick. That's 400 inches, give or take. That's like 36-ish, 30 to 36 foot of shelving that I need just to store all the tapes that I got, all the VHS tapes that I currently have. So obviously, I need to readjust the plans for building the shelving. I was just going to build a couple small shelves, build a wall, build some shelving on it for all my wife's and I DVD collection, Blu-ray, my Laserdisc, and all that kind of stuff, and kind of display them. And then have that section of the basement be kind of annexed by the game room here as the media storage. Well, obviously, that has to change. Instead of being just a shelf on the wall, I'm going to have to build a wall and have the whole wall be shelving for all of these movies and films that I now have. It's one of the pratfalls of enjoying physical media. But, you know, the thing is, it's not just all junk tapes. Like, I didn't just get a whole bunch of, like, church tapes or anything like that. I mean, I've got all 3 copies of Indiana Jones, Air Force One, all 3 Jurassic Park, well, 2 of the 3 Jurassic Parks are here, the other one's on the shelf. Star Wars trilogy, which yes, I already have, you just saw it, but I think my copy is a little worn out on A New Hope. The classic Dragonheart. I even have the original VHS release of The Matrix, the one that's tinted just slightly green so that it gives that nice, cool, like, we're in a video game simulation effect, which was removed from later releases of the film, which means the only way to see it in its correct form is on VHS. So, again, one of the best things about collecting old physical media is you can watch them as they were intended. So obviously my complaining here is not that I got a crap ton of awesome movies and stuff that I'll enjoy watching. It's that I got a crap ton of VHS tapes that I got to store at some point. And yes, I'm going to be going through all these at some point and purging ones that I am realistically not going to watch or rarely watch, movies I have duplicates of, that kind of stuff. The VHS tapes I want to make sure I keep are the movies that I remember watching on VHS and to me, feel better to watch on VHS versus DVD or streaming. So I'm not complaining about the cool videotapes I've gotten here. I'm mostly just softly venting about, I have 500, maybe 500 VHS tapes. I gotta figure out where to store on shelves. That being said, thank you all so much for watching this somewhat short, unscripted venting video, if you will, about the dangers and pitfalls of collecting physical media. I mean, this is one of the issues oftentimes pops up with collecting physical media when you're a fan of it. It's not just that everyone and their mother is going to call you, or in this case, everybody and their grandmother, I guess, is going to call you and say, hey, I got a couple small boxes of stuff for you. It's oftentimes it's either understated or you don't do the math in your head real quick of how much space this is going to take up, which again, that's all going to be, that's future me problems. You know, screw future me. He can deal with it later. Either way, you're going to be seeing a lot more physical media videos here in the future once I start building those shelves, because I do want to do a video, at least going through some of these VHS tapes and that kind of stuff, showing some of the cool stuff that's in here, because there is some really cool things that that I now own when it comes to VHS, or at least I guess it's cool to those who enjoy VHS tapes. I'm pretty sure the younger generation's probably just going to say, oh, why would you want a copy of Dragonheart VHS when you could just watch it on Blu-ray? Well, as I checked, I don't think this was on Blu-ray. Regardless, thank you all so much for watching this video. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts or comments about how to build shelving for all this, because I've been watching a lot of videos of other collectors and trying to get an idea for how to build shelving. Link any videos down in the comments of collectors who have built really simple, basic shelving that I can use to, I guess, copy for my own uses for this, because like I said, this is going to take up a lot of space. I think if I've done the math in my head, I'm looking at about 40 feet-ish of shelving just for the VHS tapes, and I think I'm looking at about 20 feet total for all the DVD, Blu-ray, and other stuff that I've got. So that's a lot of shelving I got to plan for. So be on the lookout for this kind of stuff in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.